Oh, hi there. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jordan, and today I'm joined by special guests Aiyana and Heidi, and we're here to discuss Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. So Red, White, and Royal Blue is about the first son, Alex, and Henry, the Prince of England, and their love story. It's really cute. I don't know what else to say about it. I feel like the rest is spoilers.
Is this a non-spoiler review?
No, it's a spoiler review. Oh, I should say that, where we discuss the characters, the plot, the setting, and the politics of the book. So, if you have not read the book, we all highly recommend it. Except for maybe Heidi. Thoughts?
And that's the tea. Time Warp.
Ooh.
This is a new adult book. This is not a young adult book. There is some graphic language and there is some sexy times. So,
Sexual.
smut. If you read fan fiction, you may like. If you read Harry Styles and Louis Tomlinson fan fiction when you were 14, you may like Red, White, and Royal.
Yeah, I
Royal
did
Blue.
actually think of that when I was reading this.
Yeah.
It's like there is quite the audience waiting for a book like this
Yeah.
to come out.
So if you're ready for us to spill some tea on this book, then please enjoy. But if you haven't read the book, I would highly recommend reading it and then joining us for a little tea party. Let's dive in. Okay, so I guess we should start out with your thoughts.
In honor of the two main characters, we're eating McDonald's
And drinking.
and drinking English breakfast tea.
So I'd like to know your general kind of thoughts, just so that we have that out of the way and we can kind of discuss from there. So I guess I'll start with you, Aiyana.
I guess I should probably preface by saying I'm very easily pleased with most things that I read or watch, so I found it great. It was very enjoyable. Definitely a summer read. The kind of Sarah Dessen, To All the Boys I've Loved Before. If you like those hits, you'll like this hit too. If you just want to sit down, read some smut, move on with your day, feel kind of weird that you're reading it beside your family, this is the book for you. I don't know. I really liked it. I thought the characters were fun. I didn't super like them at first, and then I kind of liked them close to the end. So that shows growth.
Great. Heidi?
So for me, it's been a while since I've kind of read a fun book like this. So I wasn't really sure what my opinion was going to be. I thought I would just like it right off the bat. About halfway through, I got oh, this is a little slow. But then by the time it wrapped up in the end, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought there's some slow bits in the middle, but once you get past that, I was like, oh yeah, this is great.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts are similar. I actually read this book in 2 days, which is pretty impressive for me because I'm a slow reader.
I think we all read it pretty fast.
Yeah, we kind of flew through it, and I think that speaks to the writing style and just the pacing of the book in general. Besides, some bits in the middle, which I agree with, were a little bit slow. I think the pacing of the book is really quick, and you can kind of fly through it. So I think what you said is.
I'm so sorry. It smells so good.
I thought you were trying to take a bite.
Y'all eat your tuna chicken with or without the peel?
The peel. So yeah, I think what you said is true in that it is a very kind of summary read. It's not deep. It's not trying to be deep. And I think that's why I liked it so much. It was just very good for what it was, and it wasn't trying to be more than what it was. It's fun, it's cute, it's fluffy, it's very idealistic and utopian. So it's kind of like a fantasy, it's this fantasy view of the world, which I think is kind of sweet and nice.
The world where what I did notice was Donald Trump just never happened.
Just doesn't exist.
The beginning, we were like, oh, they just skip right from Obama to this president.
The fictional president.
Which is the first female president. So that sets off a good tone at the beginning.
I think I read an interview with Casey McQuiston who basically said she came up with the idea during the Obama presidency, and then when everything kind of happened and Donald Trump was elected, she was like, oh no, I had this idea in my head of what the future was going to be like, and that was not at all it. So she kind of shifted it from being something that was going to be kind of satirical and kind of play off of what she thought the future was going to be. And then when Trump was elected, she was like, no, we're shifting this, we're shifting it tonally, and it's going to be more idealistic and fantasy-like and, you know, just escapism, which I think definitely is what this book is for me.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I do want to talk about the end a little bit because I think it was a little bit too much as far as that, but we can discuss that in a minute. But yeah, I really enjoyed the book. I enjoyed the characters. I thought that, you know, the couple was really likable. It was hard not to root for them and their love. I think we should start out with the plot because I know that's where you had some problems. I had some problems from the end, and I would love to hear your thoughts. So does anyone want to dive in? Heidi?
So it kind of starts out with some event where Henry and Alex, the two main characters, meet, and they're kind of discussing like how they have this rivalry. And I found it like a little hard to believe that they hated each other because there was no reason. Like the reason given for why they had like this rivalry was just they met once and Henry was kind of cold. Yeah. Like not super friendly, but didn't really say anything in particular.
I kind of had an issue with that too. It just felt really over the top, the rivalry. Like I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
And especially because that reasoning doesn't come in until much later when you find this out that this is what's like you are building it up in your head throughout the whole book that it's probably something really big that happened because Alex at the beginning feels so strongly.
Yeah, like it's written like he really despises this guy. Like even the press knows about it. Like it's a big like thing.
Yeah, and I think it also, that whole timeline thing also doesn't really make sense in terms of later in the book when they're, you know, confessing their feelings. And Henry's all, yeah, I've loved you since like the incident in Rio. But the incident in Rio was just him being kind of rude, but like not that rude. Which is like no reason for a rivalry in my opinion. And also,
why are you trying to be rude? How you gonna you're younger and you're going through a hard time, but like that is not how you flirt. It's not even like schoolyard flirting either, where it's just like kind of mean but kind of flirty mean. Like, you know,
they're pretty mean.
It was just kind of rude and it just kind of happened, and then Alex fixated on it for no reason.
On the other hand, like I don't know how she would have written it differently because I mean there had to be some reason as to why like they hadn't really, I mean no, I guess there was a reason wthey hadn't hung out before, and it was because he wasn't the first son.
He'd only been in for not even 4 years. 3 years, and like how often would they have run into each other? Yeah. I understand. I feel like the author was trying to do the kind of hate to love trope, which I can enjoy in books. Like it depends, but I don't think it was fully pulled off in this book because the hating bit just felt a little false. Yeah. But that being said, what I did like about the start of the book is that it throws you right in. It doesn't feel slow. You get introduced to most of the main characters, his sister who plays a big part in the story and his development and growth, and as well as his friend Nora, who I personally loved. And so I think it did a good job of throwing you right in. The pacing was good off the top, and it really introduces you to the world. So besides that aspect of it, I do think that it was a strong start.
Also, it doesn't linger on the rivalry too much.
It kind of sets in motion the events, but it doesn't stay too long. Because obviously, if you've read the back of the book, I feel like going into it, you know they're going to end up together. That was the other thing. Which is why also I think that the rivalry didn't quite work. Because you do know where it's headed, but it didn't bother me too much, but I didn't think it was the strongest, is kind of where I sit.
And then the next part of the book is basically they have to meet because their families say, oh, well, you can't hate each other, so you have to be friends, like make nice. And then they meet, and then they realize they kind of like each other as friends at first. Ooh. So they start to maintain like contact, like texting and whatever.
I just dropped lettuce in my lap and just picked it up and ate it, and I just realized that it was while I was talking, and you just won't be able to cut that out. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, so then it kind of gets into the part of the book where it's mostly text dialogue and emails, and that's kind of the big chunk of this apart.
Yeah. Because they are long distance, right?
Yeah.
I did think it was necessary because it is this long distance relationship, and obviously they can only see each other so much for it to be realistic. So I do appreciate that it was kind of necessary. Do I think it was necessarily the most engaging way to develop this relationship? No, but I do think it was necessary, and honestly, I didn't find it to be too much of an issue. Sometimes it was a little over dramatic and the word I'm looking for. Cheesy. Yeah, it was cheesy.
Yeah.
But that being said, I'm kind of into that for this kind of book, so I was looking for it.
It just felt a little unrealistic to me how in love or, how hard they fell. But I mean, in all fairness, it is Alex's kind of sexual awakening that he is bisexual, and, Henry apparently loved him since Rio. They had been talking for a long time, so I guess just because the passage of time is kind of quick in the book, it'll skip ahead like weeks and like months. That's, I guess, what felt a little rushed to me. When I sat and thought about it, I was like, I guess it would make sense that, these people are young, they're experiencing this really passionate relationship that's, something new to both of them. So I guess it's believable, but I don't know. I found it a little bit much at times. A little cheesy, as
That's
you said.
where I started to think, what have I gotten myself into? But then, the next part kind of redeems itself because it's all about Alex kind of coming to terms with his identity, and I thought that was really well portrayed.
Well executed. Yeah, I really like the process of him figuring it out for himself, him, slowly coming out to friends first and then family members, and I like the kind of discovery process. I do think that was handled really well in this book. Obviously, we're all straight here, so I don't necessarily know if it was realistic because none of us have gone through that. But that being said, from a third party outsider, it did seem realistic to me. It seemed like it was kind of like a slow discovery process. It wasn't overnight. And I loved the bit with his high school experiences with his best friend. I was like,
that was hilarious.
it was like, yeah,
I used to hang out with the boys and sometimes I'd stay over overnight and maybe we kissed or whatever, but it wasn't gay. That wasn't homo.
I don't know if that was meant to be kind of funny.
It felt funny but real, I feel like that does happen.
it could.
It could happen easily, yeah. And I don't know, I liked Liam's character, the presence of Liam's character in general. I just thought that character was very believable to the plot. It wasn't when they shared the phone call, it wasn't this over-the-top moment that he was expecting, Alex admitting it out loud for the first time. He's like, was this gay? And,
He's like,
you would expect,
I'm gonna go back to my date with my boyfriend now.
Yeah, exactly. I was kind of expecting, this big moment between the two of them, and that to be a whole side plot, but he was just like, I don't know, dude, figure it out. I'm gonna go chill with my boyfriend, see ya. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, I really liked that moment. I thought Liam's presence in the book was great too. Mm-hmm. Speaking of some characters, I guess we should... Oh, no, the end of the book. First, the end of the book. I feel like we all had different kind of levels of loving the build-up and the romance, and I personally was fine with it being cheesy, because I went in with the right headspace, I think. I knew it was going to be a cheese fest, and I was just there for the ride. But I also get why some people would think that either the build-up was a little bit too slow, there's some pacing issues with it, or that it'd be a little bit too over the top for some people. I think it just depends on what you're looking for, and I was looking for that. But the end is it felt wrapped up, I would say 25 pages before the end, and then there was 25 whole more pages of wrap-up.
Yeah. There was a couple times where you thought finally things were kind of getting some closure, and then Henry would just ghost Alex again. That happened a few times. Henry would just pull one of those moves where it's I just love you so much that I'm just gonna never talk to you again. That's how much I love you. Because we can't be together.
I hate that trope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate when that
There
happens
was a
in real
lot
life.
of tropes.
I don't know, I guess we haven't really started talking about politics, which is fair. I get, it fits within the story because, that's the main factor that's keeping them apart, so it's relevant to the story, it's, important to talk about. And maybe it's just because I'm not that interested in politics. I just never felt that invested. Especially like at the end where there was like 25 pages that I was like, these are kind of unnecessary. They could have just chosen not to include the election, in my opinion. Like, we don't need to know that. I just didn't really care.
Yeah, I think for me, I wish the ending had been reorganized a little bit. I wish that the election was kind of going on when everything kind of fell apart between him and Henry, because I think that would have added a level of drama. Instead, what we get is everything is wrapped up with pretty little bows, like all of the storylines and characters and plot lines, like it's all, and the politics, it's all wrapped up in a pretty little bow, which, to be fair, is nice, but the politics was never the center of the story. It was always the relationship between Alex and Henry. So I think having that at the climax and then Alex and Henry being the focus of the resolution would have been stronger.
The most kind of intense is when Henry meets with the Queen.
Yeah.
And they're very bold towards the Queen, like the way that they talk.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden they start getting real sassy to the Queen when the whole time they're like all scared.
I had a problem with the mom in that, who went from being absolutely
Yeah.
absent
Yeah.
in
All of
Henry's
a sudden
life.
she's telling the Queen off, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
where'd you come
Especially
from?
because her character was never really set up. We only heard about her because that's how absent she was. So then the instant switch, it just felt a little...
Yeah, and I guess to have the Queen be that easily defeated just didn't feel satisfying. Like,
I wanted him to abdicate. I wanted him to be like, I'm leaving.
I'm
I
out.
know, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted something like bigger to happen.
And again, I love a good cheesy book. Like, I like happy endings as much as the next guy. Yeah, I cried a few times.
Oh, I wanted
Sometimes
to
it could
ask,
not be.
what part was it that you cried? Because as I was reading the end, I was like, trying to figure it out.
I think what got me the most was right like during the Queen confrontation scene where they're like, you guys got support everywhere. And then they open up the windows and one's like, we love you. And then I was like, wow. 20 by teen. It's hitting different. And I also cried during Alex's speech regarding their relationship.
Yeah, where Henry's there.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't cry, but I got a little moist in my eyeballs.
No, you did not.
In my eyeballs. Listen. We're gonna try that again. Yeah, I mean, for me, I cried during the part when Alex was finally talking to his mom. It wasn't the first time they were talking. I think it was the second time where she was like, "Is Henry your person?" And Alex was like, "Yes." And then she was like, "I will give up the presidency for you. You are it for me. Like, you're my kid. I will support you." And I didn't cry, but it was very close. Did I get you in the feels?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm usually one to cry at books because I'm more like triggered to cry by like music and movies and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely there were some powerful scenes in the book that I was like, oh, they're so supportive and nice.
See, that's
So
the thing.
wholesome.
It's not realistic. The level of support that they're met with just in general across the board, it's unfortunately not realistic in our current world. But it was so nice reading it. It was so nice being like, yeah, this is what the world's like. Love support.
I think the writer did that because it's more about them falling in love and less about the reality of the world, which is like
it's
they would have
too.
publicists and they would have teams and like they'd be doing all this.
It's not super realistic. But I think also that's because Casey McQuiston, I think she's straight. So I don't think she was just really trying to tell a love story rather than make it too much about the struggles of being gay as a straight person, which again I think is completely fine.
Yeah.
But now, my favorite part of each video. Let's talk about the characters. I think we should start with kind of the side characters, Nora and June and Pez. Pez, yes. So who are your favorite characters? Who are your least favorite characters? Have at it.
If y'all don't stop calling her B.
What?
It's Bea.
Oh, it's B.
It's Bea.
It's Beatrice.
She's British. Her name
Yeah.
is B.
Yeah, and her name is Beatrice.
Dog. How you gonna say B like that? Bea. I know someone named Bea.
No, that's some Gen Z shit.
Yeah.
In what?
I think we're we're getting a little off track. So, Heidi, who are some of your favorite side characters?
I really like Nora. Her personality really comes out. Like, she has a very strong personality and she's kind of quirky, and they just seem like really close. She's a very believable best friend character. And also she had she was definitely very present throughout, and in the end she had like a big part in
the kind of more plot stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Nora was a great addition because she kind of cut through some of the bullshit. Because, you know, as we mentioned, it's pretty romantic and flowery and cheesy and delicious. So having a character that really grounds it a little bit and just cuts through some of that, important, I think. What were your thoughts on June?
I like June.
I like June. Yeah. She went from being really involved in the story in the first bit to being, I feel like she wasn't that present in like the later half of the book, which is fine. But I don't know, like it just felt weird that they were just these really tight siblings, they were super close. And I get that he was going through his stuff and like kind of isolating his loved ones, but I feel like the author could have at least touched on what she was doing. Give us a little like view into June's life.
The author keeps referencing kind of how June has kind of put her life on pause to watch over Alex. We don't really know what she's doing. She's very much a supporting character. Like, she's really there to do stuff with Alex. You want me to let her in?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to me, I wasn't too bothered by June's disappearance because I think for sure Alex isolates himself in the second half of the book because he's kind of shrouded in so many secrets and he's figuring out so many things for himself. So I think he does isolate himself, which is why I wasn't too bothered by the lack of June because it made sense to me. Her character, it's kind of established that she'll wait for him to come to her rather than, you know, inserting herself. Like, she's not one like Nora who will just tell it as it is, speak the truth. She kind of waits for Alex to approach her. So to me, it made sense that, you know, she'd kind of give Alex his space. She was there for him when he needed her. So I honestly wasn't bothered by the fact that June wasn't there as much. Although, you know, I wouldn't mind a little bit of her and Pez because I love their dynamic. My favorite scene, I think, was them at the nightclub. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was such a cute scene. It was like the Avengers all uniting, you know, everyone coming together, having a cute moment.
I did think that Nora and June were more present in the book than Pez and Bee.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't super well developed, but I think their characters were distinct enough that you still got a sense of who they were, even though there were very few interactions between them all. But their characters were distinct enough and present enough in the story that I think they left a positive impression for me, at least. What are your thoughts on the dad, the mom, and Raphael Luna?
Luna or Raphael Luna? Kind of like a weird side plot. That was just kind of meant to add a little something to the political side of things, but
that just felt like the author was trying to put some plot in there with Raphael Luna's story. Okay, I think we've kind of talked enough about the side characters, so I guess we should just talk about the romance and our two main boys. I love them. Listen, I love them, okay? And I know you didn't like Alex at first, and I don't know what your thoughts are, but I like them a lot. Again, I do think Alex's like petty bit at the beginning was just too much. It just didn't make sense why he disliked Henry that much. And I guess I get that he was projecting and trying to like bury his feelings, because I think deep down he knew he had feelings for Henry, and so to like hide that, I think he was projecting all this anger on him.
I also think we see later on that he's kind of like the golden boy, and he is used to everybody just loving him, and have one person not like him kind of irritates him. He
introduced himself, and then because Henry was kind of rude in that interaction, I think it was a bit of a slap in the face, especially because I think that was one of his initial kind of attractions to a guy.
Yeah, it's like when you go to the coffee shop and you know the barista's super cute, and you go up and you're like, we're about to share a moment, like you built up this whole fantasy in your head, like, you know, maybe he'll give you a free coffee or he'll upsize you for free, and then you go up to the counter and he's just doing his job and you feel a little disappointed. I don't know. Not specific, but maybe that's happened before. And maybe it sucks to have that illusion shattered. I don't know.
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
Ooh.
I didn't really like Alex at first. I just found him kind of entitled and annoying.
That's fair. I do think it was important for the story for the author kind of to establish his personality being a little bit entitled and having this kind of charade, because I do think there was a lot of underlying things that he was still figuring out, and I think he was kind of putting that on as a mask to protect himself. As he's figuring those things out, he becomes a lot more likable. So to me, I didn't mind that he was a little bit entitled at first. I kind of enjoyed it. It showed development, it showed growth, and I think that Henry was one of the people who helped him really discover that. But what I did like is that he was very much influenced by not only Henry. It wasn't like one of those love stories where it's just like them against the world. You know, he had a supportive family, he had friends that were there for him, and he needed all of that support system to try to figure out everything that was kind of going on within him, which I really appreciated.
I think that both of their personalities went really well together. It was kind of like an opposites attract. Henry was a little elusive but very sensitive and caring, and I think they complemented each other pretty well.
Yeah,
Like,
I
the two
thought
characters.
they brought out the best in each other, which is really nice. I do think Henry's character could have had a little bit more going on, because it's mentioned throughout the story that he's doing all this nonprofit work. It's basically set up that he's a really great guy because he's doing all of this stuff, but it doesn't really show.
There's that really cute moment in the hospital where he says
the Star Wars quote. There's like a Star Wars quote that he says to a little girl, and that's really sweet. And I would love more instances
and that's
like
when
that.
Alex was like, oh, he's sensitive.
And also that he has like some nerdy interests and stuff, because I think up until that point he has this kind of perfect image. And though we get to see a little bit through that via Alex and the relationship, I do think that there could have been a little bit more to Henry, more interest. What is he like? It's kind of established that he's nerdy and that he's into humanitarian work, but it's not delved into deep enough, I don't think, for me to have a deep understanding of who he is and his personality.
He already knows that he's gay. Like, he's not coming to terms with his identity in the book.
There's a lot going on in Alex's life, and it seems like Henry doesn't have that level, which I don't think he needs to. He's not the protagonist, but I do think that he could have had a little bit more development and a little bit more going on, just so that we had a clearer sense of who he was, because he wasn't as distinct, I don't think, as June or as Nora or as Bee or as Pez.
One of his main personality traits was liking Alex, and that's not a personality trait. I'm coming for all, I'm coming for all you young relationship folk.
The tea.
But I do know people like that, so honestly, it's realistic. Ugh. You know what was annoying about Henry? You know what's one of my least favorite things about Henry? Is that it took me so long to read the book because I had to keep switching between an English accent and an American accent. Because you can't just read it in just an American accent. Did you do that?
I did that. Did you guys have any parting thoughts? Because I think we should kind of start to wrap this up.
Good read.
Would recommend.
Definitely like a beach read.
It's nice, it's light, it's easy, it's fun, it's pretty non-problematic, the characters are easy to latch onto, and it's got enough going, like with the different levels of relationships and what Alex is going through to keep it engaging throughout.
And it's fun to talk about it with your friends.
Great, okay, well this was awesome. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, and if you've read the book, please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear what you think about the book, and I'm so glad that these two ladies joined me and shared this experience with me, because I love chatting about books with people, share this food with me, because we did that.
Comment your favorite politically charged relationship below. Make sure to like and subscribe.
Wow, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm just, opening up the discussion.
And subscribe.
And ring that little bell, baby.
Okay, bye.
Every time there's a like in the video, you should censor it.
And beep, and beep, beep, and a beep, 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 beep.
Like, and the whole, that is, one, kind of, it, because it's, like all of a sudden like you know we could like I like with like and then like it was just like and like was to like kind of like it
You
was
said like so many times.
oh. Time warp.
Ooh.